Hi, I'm Jim W6LG, your YouTube Elmer. Welcome to my radio room here in Rockland, California. Yesterday I uploaded a video about microphones, and I read into three different microphones the same sentence over and over again for a period of about a minute. And then I asked guys to listen to it and pick out which microphone sounded the best. There were three microphones involved. Which one of the three sounded the best, and also which microphone was the most expensive out of the batch. So let's take a look at the responses we got to the video. First, let's go to YouTube and see what's up with YouTube in terms of the viewership. Okay, so here we go. Here's a look at the YouTube data. The video one day had about looks like that's one day, there we go, about 1,400 views. Currently we are at about 30 hours and about 1,600 views. Let me refresh that page. I think that's a bit old. Okay, so it's still about the same number, about 1,600. And let's see how many comments there were. Okay, so in terms of comments, there were quite a few actually. It's at 135, which is more than usual. Many of the comments were along the same lines. Chris Smart said that microphone number one was too bassy. He picked number three. This one's sort of, let's see, I would use based on clarity. So 3, 2, and 1. Cost, the most expensive being number 1, then number 2, then number 3. He's close. Tim. Tim, late rigs have audio output settings which make a big difference. I was compared, well, let's see. I don't see where he picked a microphone. Here's another one. Number 2 is ear preferred. Number 1. Number 2 sounded like a phone call. That's interesting. This guy knows a lot about audio. Let's see what he says. Good demonstration. Mic number 2 was the best, but very little difference from number 3. Number 1 had too many lows to my ear. I like a high-pitched microphone for voice and do not go for the hi-fi sound. I've rebuilt a number of microphones in the last few years, 3 of them being the famous D104, and each I have experimented with different microphone elements. The ones I get the best reports from are 69-cent elements I bought off of Amazon. Yes, 69 cents. They're so cheap you have to buy 10 at a time. That is the actual mic. The rest of it is just casing. Yeah, I think what he's talking about is electrets, electric cartridges. K4AX wrote, for SSB ham radio, it all changes when you have to squeeze all of that under 3 kilohertz and kneecap the bass because of the loss of the high end. It really changes the characteristics of what it might sound like. What sounds great opened up may not when it goes through SSB. That is right on. He said his preference was 3. Number 1 was the least preferred. He had number 2 as the most expensive, number 1 as the least expensive. That is not quite right. Here's Don. Let's see. He liked number 2. He didn't know about the cost. He's curious about number 2. Don, I'll tell you right now, number 2 was the least expensive. And I'll get there in just a minute. Okay, number 2. Chris wrote, I think number 1 was lacking in treble response. It does have a lot of bass. Number 2 had a fairly flat response, but I think it was omnidirectional, which gave a live room sound which picked up extraneous noise. That's true. Number 3 was strong on treble, which would help on SSB. For ham radio sound, I would go with number 3. I think number 3 was the most expensive. Actually, Chris, number 1 was the most expensive. So let's get, here's Jay. W4ZXT. Number 3 sounded the best to my liking. 1 was similar. Number 2 had background noise. Okay, that's true. Here he's ranked them 2, 3, 1. All right, let's take a look at the microphones that I did use. And I did not do any equalization, didn't do anything to change the way that they sounded. I just used the mics. So let me back up. Okay, so this was microphone number 1. And number 1 was and is a Shure SM7B. An SM7B on Amazon sells for about $400. So number 1 was by far the most expensive microphone. Number 2 was also a dynamic mic. They were all dynamic mics. And I purchased it off of Amazon, that microphone, new, for $50. Currently, it's on Amazon at $70. So in the last few weeks, the price has gone up. I only bought it this month, so I bought it just a couple of weeks ago at the very most. The dynamic cartridge is right in the top, right about there, so you have to talk into the top of it. It's held up by a foam core, and it's a beautiful housing. Really pretty microphone. Looks great. Came with a phone cover and all that stuff. This was the mic that I like the best, and this microphone is also off of Amazon. I'll put the information on each of those mics in the description. This one cost me $90. It's still on Amazon at $90. I bought it a few days ago. So microphone number 3 was a dynamic from Amazon. It also has kind of a foam core in the middle, and the cartridge sits in the top. So it's very similar to microphone number 2. Its frequency response is a little different. So those were the microphones that I used for the experiment. And as you can see, we got some really great comments. So I use number 3 with my transceivers at this point. It has some highs. It has some sibilance. It's punchy. It's crisp in its sound. So that part I like. Number 1, I don't think would work well. The one guy commented about you could take one of those microphones and limit its frequency response or pick out 2800 out of maybe it does 10 kilohertz, and it doesn't sound the same, and that's true. So the Shure SM7B does not work well with any of my transceivers, and I did try it, and I think what that guy said is right on. So what was I trying to prove? And I asked guys to listen to me for a solid minute say the same thing over and over and over again. That you don't need to have an expensive microphone to have great audio. And in that case, the cheapest mic, the $50 mic, sounds really, really good. And it looks good too. So that would be a great choice, along with a foot switch or push-to-talk switch of some kind, for $50. I bring it up because I talk to guys who spend $500, $600, $700 for a microphone. I don't think that for me makes a lot of sense. That I would spend that money at the antenna, the feed line, things related to the antenna system. If that's now the best I can do and there's no room for improvement there, I would put it towards a better transceiver, see if I could upgrade the transceiver just a bit, or some other station accessory. There's some noise reduction devices that are really nifty and work well. That one at DX Engineering that's about $800. Instead of buying the $800 microphone, I would buy that device because it works and it would provide better reception and be able to pick a weak signal out of the noise. I want to thank everybody who commented, or I should say everybody who listened to the audio that I read into the microphones. Thank you for doing that, and thank you for the comments. It's been very interesting. I've learned a lot, and I'm going to, again, investigate different microphones at some point in the future. If you haven't subscribed, please think about doing that. And we've got some interesting videos coming up. The next one is about how to pick out a transceiver, which one best suits your needs. I've done the preliminary video about that with the spreadsheet, and I'm going to add to that. Thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. I'm Jim, W6LG in Rocklin, California, 73.